Boom! Good morning from YouTubeville. Once again, Danny Savage, Draft Guru. Like, sub, and subscribe. It don't cost a dime. I'm doing an early video this morning. I don't know. I was up early this morning. Don't forget you get your vitamins in. I took my vitamins already. Sugar-free cranberry juice. I just wanted to bang out this video before my day starts. So this video is going to be about week 2 college risers. Some names are going to sound familiar, which I've given you since May. We also got a couple of new names that have made the list. First off, we're going to start off with Texas's complete offensive line. And I don't know if people remember from my original videos back in May, I said Texas has the best offensive line in college football. And for them to go into Ann Arbor and just dominate Michigan, Michigan has a sick defense, a really, really sick defense. It just was their offense is atrocious. They have a tight end and like a running back / fullback. They lost everybody. They lost 10 starters. But Texas's O-line went in there and made a statement against a very, very, very good Michigan defensive line. You're going to see 2 Michigan defensive tackles go in the first round. One's going in the top 10. The other one will probably go, Mason Graham will probably go top 10. Kenneth Gant will probably go maybe the end of the first, early second. So Texas's offensive line, Kelvin Banks, gave you a video on him. Hayden Connor gave you a video on him. Jake Majors, DJ Campbell gave you a video on him. Cameron Williams gave you a video on him. Gave you all these guys already. And they went in there and they handled business. Another kid I'm also going to say is a riser because everybody was looking to push him out the door already for Archie Manning. Howdy Doody, I call him. Quinn Ewers. He had 250 yards and 3 touchdowns against Michigan at Ann Arbor in a hostile environment. And for the season, he has 500 yards and 6 TDs. So, everyone was pushing this kid out the door for Manning's 77th nephew. Listen, he does look good. Archie Manning does look good. Horrible name, Archie. But he does look good. He's the future. But unless Quinn Ewers gets hurt, this is his team this year. It's his team this year. Another kid, Francis Muaga, linebacker, the U. 7 tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble. He's an island guy. We all know the island guys are different. His brother actually plays right tackle for Miami, and he's a monster, but he's only a sophomore. He's not eligible yet. He's a true sophomore. Last year he was a true freshman and started, and he's a true sophomore. So his brother's not eligible to come out yet for the draft, but he is a stout run-stopping linebacker that excels against the run, and he's a riser for week 2. Ironically, Xavier Restrepo had another touchdown. I gave you him back in May. 2 games, 11 catches, 220 yards, 2 TDs with a 20-yard average. Nobody was talking about him in May. I was, but what do I know? I don't even know if I said it. It's early. I'm not a morning person. Still the best beard on YouTube. Ironically, another riser, and I gave you him already. But he's a riser, and I knew he was going to be a riser. And he's going to be a top 5 tight end in this draft coming up. Tyler Warren out of Penn State, 6'6", 240. So far for the year, 12 catches, 180 yards, and a touchdown. Penn State has no wide receivers. I've said that. I've said that for weeks, for months. And their quarterback, Drew Aller, has the worst deep ball I've ever seen in my life. We're going to get back to that later. Remember that name. So he is their number one, even though he's a tight end, he's their number one receiving threat. Penn State is lucky they got 2 monster running backs, which I've given you multiple times. Nate Singleton, Katron Allen, and Nate Singleton. Might even be Drew Singleton. Like I said, it's Nate Singleton. I'm not a morning person. But Penn State is lucky they got 2 monsters at running backs because they got pushed around and slapped in the mouth by Bowling Green on Saturday. They're lucky they came out of that game with a win. If it wasn't for Abdul Carter, pressuring the quarterback on some plays later in the fourth quarter, that would have been a giant upset, and I would have fired every single coach the next day. It's amazing. Penn State's lacking this year. Linebacker U is lacking at linebacker, ironically. But Tyler Warren, he balled off. He had a really good game Saturday. Another kid, he's a new one to the list. Caleb Johnson, running back, University of Iowa. Yo, the kid got great size, 6'1", 220. He has 306 yards and 4 TDs on the year. Saturday versus Iowa State, he had 120 yards and a touchdown. He has the size, he has the length. He's like a long strider, and he's a tough runner. He is a name to look out for. He's a new guy that's made the list. So we can add him to the 250 people that I've dropped already. It's a long list today. So we're also going to talk about 2 linebackers from Iowa. I've given you 1, but we're going to talk about 2. Week 2 rises. Jay Higgins, 6'2", 240. 9 tackles, 1 forced fumble. Another kid, he's a beast versus the run. He's a little bit smaller. Nick Jackson, Iowa, 6 foot, 235. So he's like a little old school, smaller on the height side, heavier on the weight side, and he was solid versus the run. Listen, Iowa had that game won. The refs killed them. The refs pretty much destroyed Iowa, and they just, I don't know what happened to the offense, man, but they were just kicking field goals, and then they lost, ironically, on a field goal last second of the game. But he's somebody to watch out for. Another riser, even though I've given you him since May, he was one of my first guys I've given you, and yet people are talking about him now. Where were all these people in May? I mean, like a week after the draft, where were all these people in May? Kyle Monangai, Rutgers, 2 games. He has 380 yards and 4 touchdowns. And that's not even the receptions he's caught coming out of the backfield. I said it in May. In a heavy running back loaded draft, this kid's going to be a top 5 running back. I don't see him getting out of round 2. And there's monsters in this draft. It's all going to be who your team likes, what is your cup of tea as a running back, what you're looking for, because we're in a running back by committee league in the NFL. So you might need a big big monster that's going to plow people, and wear you down in the fourth quarter. You might need a speedster. It all depends what you want, what you need. Each 32 teams in the NFL have different needs in the background, in the backfields. And ironically, Dallas needs to come out of this draft with two running backs. Ironically, gave you this kid again earlier, but he's a riser. Ashton Gentry, Boise State. It's only week 2. 460 yards and 9 touchdowns. Ollie Gordon better start stepping it up, or this kid is gonna. As always, we're only in week 2, but he's a riser, and he's gonna have a competition. The Doak Walker Award is gonna be really, really interesting this season for the best running back in college football. But I gave you him, and he had 6 TDs his first week against not a great college, and then he had 3 TDs the other night, late Saturday night versus Oregon. And the last time I saw, Oregon was a top 5 team and ranked, and everyone's picking Oregon to be in the playoffs. And he had 3 TDs against them. Deone Walker, defensive tackle, Kentucky, 6'6", 360. His stats are not going to jump off the board at you, but when you're 6'6", 360, your job is just to create havoc in the middle, tie up the blockers, and allow your linebackers to run freely to the ball. He will get tested this week. Kentucky is playing Georgia, but he's a week 2 riser for me. I love this kid. Check out this. Now, I said it back in May. All these draft guys are super high on Penn State's Drew Aller, and he has no deep ball. So last year, his best wide receiver, who pretty much he wasted his career with him, Keandre Lambert Smith, transferred. He transferred to Auburn. So in 2 weeks, in 2 games at Auburn, he's eclipsed his touchdowns that he had last year of 12 games, 11 games with Drew Aller. So in 2 games, Keandre Lambert Smith, who was a speedster, 110 yards and 3 TDs. Who was talking about this kid? Nobody. And I gave you him back in May. But that's why I'm the best. I joke around a lot, but I'm decent. I'm pretty decent. Next kid I'm giving you, Riza. He was all over the field Saturday night, and his athleticism is ridiculous. Sonny Styles, middle linebacker, Ohio State. Now, he used to be a safety. He was a safety for like 3-4 years. 6'4", 240. And this kid looks like a wide receiver. That's how his frame is so rocked out. That's how athletic this kid is. He can come up in the run game, lay the pipe, had 10 tackles, and then also, since he played multiple seasons at safety, you don't have to worry about him covering. This kid's athletic ability is crazy. When he goes to the combine, he's going to turn a lot of heads, this kid. And I gave you him a long time ago, but he's a week 2 riser. Another kid I think is a week 2 riser. I'm just doubling back. Iowa, Connor Colby, right guard. Old school 6'5", 330 run mauler. Bro, this kid he caught my eye. He caught my eye on Saturday. He was in the run game. He's a mauler. And what is Iowa known for? Let's be honest. Offensive linemen and tight ends. That's what Iowa is known for. If he keeps progressing, he's definitely going to be somebody to watch out for. He's going to get drafted. Cam Ward, quarterback. The U. I've been blowing him up since May. I have been saying, watch out for this kid. He only has 700 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2 games, and he has the wheels to run when he needs to. Watch out for the U this year. I'm telling you, watch out. He's a week 2 riser. We're going to end this little bit of a long list. Sorry, I like to keep my videos like 10 minutes. You know, a lot of people have short attention spans, including myself. Week 2 riser, I gave you him also too. Wyatt Mullins, left tackle, West Virginia, 6'6", 330. Week 1, he pretty much shut down Abdul Carter. He did. And then this past week, West Virginia played Albany, I believe, and they just destroyed them, blew them out. But I said back in May, this kid is a borderline first-round pick. Don't be shocked. He's in the late 20s. You know, he's in between 20 and 32 as being a first-rounder, this kid, because he has the size, has the length, and he's on the rise. Also, I'm gonna end this with another West Virginia guy I've given you, C.J. Donaldson, 6'2", 240. The kid's a hammer. He's a riser. So far on the year, has 187 yards with 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns. And he had one against Penn State and then one against Albany. He is a riser. So that's the week 2 risers. I think there was maybe 15, 20 dudes in there, maybe more. I'm not 100% sure. All right, today's Tuesday. So we're done for today, unless something pops into my head. Wednesday will be nothing. Thursday, we're going to be talking about teams that are underperforming and players, mostly players. This is a draft channel, man. Players that are underperforming. But like I said, man, it's only week 2. It won't be a long list because I don't want to tag dudes that they're having a bad when it's only week 2. I said this months ago. The first few weeks of college football is sloppy. The first few weeks of the NFL is sloppy. You really don't know in both college and the NFL. You really, really don't know what you got. It takes about 3 weeks. That's that. You can also catch me on Twitter, Danny Savage, Draft Guru on Twitter. And we all know when you're rocking with the GWO, it's for life. Have a good Tuesday, everybody. Over and out.